I'm Keisha Casiano, and I'm an elementary art teacher here in Fort Worth, Texas. And welcome to the Art of Education University Run the Art Room, where we equip you with tips and tricks to add to your classroom management toolkit. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing material prep and distributing and collecting of supplies. Be sure to head over to the description box below for more curated resources to help you successfully run your art room. Be sure to also like this video and subscribe to the Art of Education University so you don't miss a single episode.
So since I travel, it's sometimes hard to keep paint fresh. I usually always prep paint in egg cartons. I usually just put a small amount that the students are going to need if it dries up, or if I'm not here the next day. I don't feel like I'm wasting any material. So the cool thing about egg cartons is not only are they disposable, but parents are always willing to donate them. And I've also had businesses donate unused ones too for allergy reasons. I use egg cartons for paint a lot just because of my ever-changing schedule.
I have a few organizational tips that I'd like to show you today. I like to mark my Sharpies like this. So I like to go out and find crazy washi tape colors, and then I'll wrap the ends of my Sharpies with the washi tape. So I always know these belong to the art room. We use a lot of microns in my class, and in order for the students to distinguish the sizes, I just assign a certain color for every size. So they'll always know that the purple is the big one, and then the red is gonna be the smaller tip. So this is just something super simple and easy that you can do in your classroom too for your Sharpies and your microns.
So you'll see that I utilize these carts a lot, just because they can move around, and sometimes, sometimes I just need the extra space and I just need to shove them away. But anyway, I like to use these if students are like, I don't know what materials I need. Well, this is going to be a spot that students will know to go to. So right now, this is kind of like my 8th grade cart, where if they don't have something they need, or they need a piece of paper, or they need the activities or the materials that we're using, they're gonna come up here and grab the things that they need.
One of my favorite areas in my classroom is my What Do We Need Today board. And so here I've created visual aids that help me know what materials the classes need for the day. And it also helps the students know how many jobs we might need for the day as far as passing things out. So I definitely have several of these, and whenever we need a new supply for the day, I can just kind of pick out the ones that we might need, and I can just pop them on the board.
And as you can see, I have Sharpies. This is for the red table. They get 4 fat Sharpies and 2 skinny markers. These are placed back like this and on the rainbow countertop at the end of class, and therefore I can go ahead and just check to make sure all the caps are there and all the Sharpies are there.
If we're using any coloring type of materials, you'll notice everything is lined up here like soldiers right on the shelves. And again, these bins are color-coded by table group. That way the students are always selecting from the same containers. I find that works really, really well. It's not like, wait, I can't find the pink marker that I was using last time. So everything is stored right here.
Taking a look over here, this is where I have my Glaze test tiles that correspond with those numbers, so students know what to look for. Here are the clay boxes that students are using. So they have tools inside of them. So this is for table number 2. And then they just come grab them, and then all of these things are labeled.
Over here is my supply shack table. This is where I keep any supplies that my students are using in any of the current projects that we're working on. This way that I have them organized, well, I try to keep them organized by like basket, by grade level, and so I can easily have access to whatever they may need. The students know that they can find it over here in the supply shack.
One thing I like to do in the classroom is have step-by-step directions on where we're gonna go for our project.
An art shop with my kindergartners. So I'm trying to give them more choice and more ownership when it comes to creating their art. And it is just a way for them to pick out their supplies and take ownership of what we're doing and make sure like we're keeping it clean and all that type of stuff. So you see behind me here This is what they are going to be doing for their project today. They get to go shopping for 4 pieces of paper, and we talk about why only 4 and gluing and all that fun stuff. And then that bin right underneath there is our scrap bin, so they know not to throw it away. And then way back there, we also have an art shop for where they're going to be choosing their favorite color for me to match their favorite project for the art show as well.
How many of you out there put your pencils out for your students to use, and then by the end of the week, there are no more pencils left? I have a solution for you. I went out and got these really cheap flowers, and what I did was I ended up super gluing the flower to the pencil, and then I took floral tape and just wrapped it around the end. And now I still have my whole bouquet of pencils. It's a great solution for when you need to loan out a pencil to a student and you need this back. You can actually see this actually walk out the door. It's harder for them to take the tape off and to rip it off the pencil.
I make my images of the task for the day ahead of time. So I tell the students what they're going to do. I give them visuals and then where they're going to put their artwork, what they can do if they accomplish that job. And in this case, I have 3 extensions. It's really interesting what students choose out of these 3, and I've found it to be different for every single class that I walk into. So it's good to have 3 different options.
To help me stay organized, I have these bins for each grade level, and inside each teaching bin are the materials that I'm working on with that grade. So you can see for every grade level, since we're working on landscapes, you can see the cities. Second grade is working on castles. Third grade, I have these tinted landscapes that we're working on. So I can just grab the bin for whichever class I have coming in. Everything I need is inside the bin. I don't hang teacher samples in my classroom, but I do have them in these bins. So I find that that works really well.
I know the color wheel is not super interesting, but holy smokes, kids need to know how to mix colors. So the basic setup that I do for this is each table number, so each table has a number. I have little bags of paint that are stored over by the sink. And when students come in for their class period, they take their bag. They use, for right now, we are just using a plate and baggie system with color mixing. These tubes are my favorite things to use just because they're smaller. It encourages students to use just a little bit. And I think it's so important for students to understand warm and cool color bias. So like, you know, there's a warm color red and a cool color red. So they can see what happens when they mix when they're trying to mix violet. If they use the cool red compared to the warm red, what happens? You know, what kind of color are you going to get? So this is one of my favorite ways to start off with that.
It may not be pretty, but my storage for slabs is really simple. I want to make it as simple as possible. So I put plastic bags, which I have a large collection of, in between each slab, and then I put it in an airtight container. I wouldn't recommend keeping this overnight, but I think it could work pretty well. I know that I have had a lot of success just keeping them separated and making sure that they aren't going to stick together.
So 3rd grade is doing a mixed media still life project. So I grabbed this handout from the Art of Ed's Flex curriculum. It's an amazing resource. If you don't have it, you absolutely need to get it. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna stick one of these in these little plastic paper pockets that I have. And I usually put 2 at a table just for students to reference while we're working on a project. Take a look at this handout that I put at your table, the paper pockets that we grabbed. So you can see here how we will be collaging those pieces together to make the flowers. So if I create a resource or if I grab one from the Flex curriculum, then I'll just throw it in here and stick them at the tables so the students have access to them and they stay nice and clean in these plastic pockets.
I am gearing up to doing my first day with clay with my students. So we're gearing up to get started. Something I got some of these baggies so that they can kind of cover their project as they go. Everyone has their own like styrofoam tray. with a lump of clay so that they can build.
So on the left side of my classroom, I have these cabinets and this counter space over here that's mostly for me, but I also use this area to store all the current projects that they're working on. I have the countertops divided up by the grade level in the order I have them, but then while the kids are working, the artwork will get passed out to the students, and then I will pull out the projects for the next day and set it on the countertops. And this helps me prep for the next day and also saves so much time instead of doing it all in the afternoon. I'll come in tomorrow morning and I'll take all the artwork off the drying rack and put it in their designated in their drawers, while this area is already prepped for my classes tomorrow. I have everything ready for 5th. I have kindergarten next with their projects laid out for today, 1st grade, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. This does require a lot of countertop space, but honestly, the kids already understand this area. And I will pick a trusted student, hey, so-and-so, can you come and pass out artwork? So they'll come over here. So let's say I have 1st grade. They'll come, they know that this area right here is designated for 1st grade. They know that the projects will be laid out on the table, and they'll go ahead and pass it out and they'll work. And I don't have to worry about it at the end of the day. And it's amazing because I don't do anything after my last class when it comes to prep. It's just organizing, cleaning, whatever I need to do for that afternoon, and I'm done. And usually it takes me about 30 seconds to prep for the next day while the kids are working. It's amazing.
So here's the setup. These are just like chip and dip containers. And the kids are going to be learning tints and shades. So you'll see that, there's a color in the center. We've got black, we've got white, and then they'll learn all about tints and shades.
Hey art teacher friends, that's a wrap with our material prep. If you have any additional tips on how you pass out supplies, collect supplies, we will love to continue the conversation in the comments section below. Stay tuned for our next episode where we're going to be talking about attention getters and call and responses. For more tips and tricks for art teachers by other art teachers, make sure you like and subscribe to the Art of Education University for more videos just like this.